I'll show you how these three came together for a special project with Oncology Nursing Forum. All right, let's get started. If you love abstract art and the creative process, you are in the right place. I'll talk you through my steps and throw in some stories about being an abstract artist and running an art business. My name is Betty Franks, and I'm super happy that you're here. So today I'm going to be working on 3 pieces on paper, and this is for a special project. Now these 3 pieces already have gesso on them, and you can see that one on the far left. Actually, I covered up some sample colors that I was putting on paper, so just reusing what I have. I like to start with some mark making to loosen up. These marks most likely will not show up at the very end, but it's just part of my process. I like to be able to relax and start obliterating all of that white by putting down some marks. Then I go into adding black. I love adding black early on in my process as opposed to at the very end, because I don't like it floating on top of my painting at the end. So to create depth, I like to add it at the very beginning, and that just has some pieces kind of peeking through here and there. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm also kind of scratching with the back of my brush just to add some texture as we go. Got quite a bit of black going on, and I know a lot of people are always surprised, like, wow, that's a lot of black. But you'll see at the end that there's not very much of it poking through at all. I put down some white, and I just wiped off my brush that has all that black on it to remove most of the black so that I can get more of a gray going. And here I'm just starting to put down some marks. Putting down some of these larger elements in the beginning, I've found that, if I kind of lay out some structure at the very beginning, that it makes it a little bit easier later. But I don't always use those marks. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Here I'll show you the colors I'm going to use. This is Pearl Red. I'm using Nova Color paints, and if you are new to my channel, then you probably don't know my love for Nova Color paints. I absolutely love them. I've been using them for many, many years. I think the first time I used them was in 2015. Another artist let me sample or, try out their Nova Color paint, and I just fell in love with it right away. So love the consistency of this paint. It's kind of in between a fluid and a heavy body. Right in there, it's got some weight to it, but yet it's still fluid enough to move around. And here's one more color. We're adding yellow here. So these colors, I believe all these colors are part of Betty's bundle. So a couple of years ago, Nova asked me if I wanted to partner up with them, and I said, absolutely. I've been wanting to do this for a long, long time. And so I've got, and here's one more, Indian yellow, which I love. This is in the larger jar, and the other ones are in the 4 ounce. And this one is the pint, and then there's the quart and the gallons. Okay, so going back to just love the consistency, love the creaminess of the colors, but especially love the pigmentation. I can't say enough for, these colors. And, if you know my art, then I use a lot of color, a lot of bright colors, and I get that all from Nova Color paints. And then the last thing that I absolutely love about them, I would have to say, is the price. Even with, so many prices being increased over these past few years, they did do a little price increase, but it wasn't so significant. I think you'll still find a huge value in their paints. Now, if you especially work small, those small ones that I showed you at the beginning, those last me for years. And the cost is anywhere from, I want to say, maybe $7 to upwards of, I want to say maybe $15 for those CAD ones, or what are the ones? There are some that are just a lot more pricey. And if you decide to give them a try, go with the 4 ounce jars. That's the way I always test it out, each color, make sure that I liked it. Now, I do have a bundle called Betty's Bundle, and it's 15 of my go-to favorite colors. And so it includes these colors that you see here, plus a number of other ones, 15 colors, and then I think I included, maybe 14 colors, plus black and white is included in that bundle. So I'm going to leave a link down below, or just leave the word Betty's Bundle, or just ask me in the comments. Happy to send you the link, but I'm going to include the link down below here as well. And hopefully I'll get it into that first comment down below, so it's really easy to find it. So I'm just moving along here and kind of making my way through, working around some of those darker areas, but yet not entirely avoiding them. As I'm recording this right now, somebody is using a blower, so I'm hoping that you don't hear that, but I can hear it loud and clear. So I'm doing some filling in also, and you'll notice I've got some movement going on here, which I absolutely love in my new pieces. And I'm going to pause for a moment because that blower is getting really close, so I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. The blower is done. I took a little bit of a break, had some lunch real quick, and he finally finished. So I won't have any more of that noise, and neither will you. Okay, so I was talking about movement before I took a quick break, and you'll see like the one on the left, it's got some movement in the top left area. The one in the middle has it more in the lower area, and then the one on the right kind of has it, 2/3 of the way up. And the movement that I've been adding to my artwork, I started doing this when I went to Croatia this past summer. So summer 2023, when I went to go help my parents. I spent the whole summer there. And I ended up extending my stay because my mom was not doing well. So I stayed 5 weeks longer than I had expected to stay. And that's probably why you haven't seen videos from me lately, because when I got back, I had a bunch of other stuff going on. But super happy to be doing this again. And I am recording this in the artwork I did at the beginning of September when I returned from Croatia, and it is now middle of November 2023. So going back to that movement, I started doing that when I was in Croatia this past summer, as I mentioned, and it represents my love for water and for clouds. I absolutely love the view from my parents' house. It's a view of the Adriatic, and I see the water moving throughout the day. And then when we go for walks, we're down by the water, and I love the sound of the water. You know, it's on a sea, so it's not like the ocean where you have that roar of the ocean. It's more very calm, lapping water. And I love that. And then clouds, you know, the other great thing is the view from my parents' house of the clouds going by and the formations. And my mom loves clouds, so she's always pointing them out to me. And I've kind of, you know, got a love for clouds now. And every time I look at them, I think of my mom. So I love that. Okay, I'm turning my palette around and I am adding some cool colors now. The palette I'm using is, I can't tell if it is a 11, I think it's 11 by 14 canvas board. And then I put a sheet of 4 mil plastic over it. If you want to know what kind of plastic I use, it's also on my tabletop there. And I will include a link down below to my favorite art supplies. And if you go to Amazon, you'll see the 4 mil plastic there. So again, showing you the colors that I'm using here, putting out a variety of them. You know, I love color. So we're going to switch now to cool colors. So I like to start with my warm colors, and I like to keep my colors separated so that I don't make mud. Now, nothing wrong with mud. Mud is fantastic. It's a nice neutral, but I'm trying to keep my colors pretty bright. And now, before I get started with my cool colors, I'm going to come in with some mark making again, because a lot of the mark making that I did early on is already covered up. So I'm going to come back in. I especially love this time coming back in because I can use white, and it really shows up over those other areas that I put down over the areas where I put down color. All right, so just coming in here, mixing some colors as I go. I love this blue. I guess it was cobalt blue, wasn't it? So I love adding some white to that and creating that really pretty color. And now adding some phthalo turquoise to it. And as you notice, I don't clean my brush when I am using a group of colors. So this cool family of colors, I don't need to clean my brush, and it's kind of my cheating way of mixing my colors and harmonizing them as I go. Unless I really need my color to be clean, I'll wash off my brush, but otherwise I rarely clean my brush off. So I'm doing some filling in here and keeping some of those colors and those marks that I did from my first layer. If you would like to learn how to create art the way that I create art, I've got an online course that you are going to love. It's over 5 hours of us creating together. There's bonus videos included in there, and I really walk you through step by step. Nothing is sped up. It is all real time, and it's me talking to you real time as I'm creating. And the one thing that I hear from so many students that they really love about the course is that they get to hear my thought process. So I am thinking out loud. I'm talking out loud what I'm thinking in terms of, why I'm putting color where I put it, or why I'm selecting certain colors, and how I'm harmonizing, or how I'm looking at how color is flowing on that piece of art that I'm creating. If you'd like information about that, I'll include it down below, but you can certainly just leave me a comment asking for it. I'm happy to send that directly to you. And with the holidays coming up, you're going to want to join my email list, because I always let my email list know when I've got sales happening. So just go to bettyfranksart.com and you'll see where you can, actually, if you move your mouse off the page momentarily, there should be a pop-up that comes in and allows you to sign up. But I will include a link down below, or just message me. Happy to send that to you. Now I'm going over some of the previous marks that I had. So I'm not always creating new marks. Sometimes I'm just going right over what I already put down. Let me talk a little bit more about these 3 pieces and why I'm creating 3 at the same time. So this is for a special project that I've been working on this past year, and that is with Oncology Nursing Forum. It's an online magazine for nurses and other folks who are interested, and my art has been on their cover this past year. So it's every other month that I create a cover for them, and these 3 I always create 3 so that they can select which one they want. And what I do is, once they select the one that they want, I have to do some modifications in terms of delivering it to them with specific color requirements. I'm going to show you a photo of it at the very end, and you'll see that the colors are a little bit different than what you see here. And that's because I have to meet their requirements for the way I deliver my art to them. Okay, so I give them 3 and then they get to pick one. So at the end of this video, I'm going to be asking you, which one do you think that they picked? And then I'll show you the one that they picked. One of the challenges I have with creating for them is, I can create whatever I want, but here's the thing. I have to keep the area in the upper quarter of the page or the piece of art and the lower quarter area plain, so that they can put in their own overlay of, the words Oncology Nursing Forum. And then at the bottom is kind of a index of what's inside. So that's a big challenge for me, because I have to make the artwork interesting, but yet I got to keep the upper area and lower area simple and plain and light in color. Always very challenging. But you can see right now, I'm not doing any of that just yet. I tend to do that a little bit later as I move towards the completion of the piece, or the pieces, I should say. So you'll see me starting to, quiet down some areas to make sure that I meet that requirement. So this November issue is the last one for the 1-year assignment that I had with them. So kind of sad that, I don't get to do any more with them, and very grateful and thrilled that they selected me to provide art for them. All right, so moving through these pieces, and as you can see, if you work in multiples, you're going to get several pieces done a lot faster than just working on one piece. And the great thing about working on multiple pieces, and I've done a video on this before, is that if you're feeling a bit stuck on one, you can just work on the other one or two that you've got on hand. So if you're working on two, you can go back and forth between the two, but with three, you can definitely not ever feel stuck, because if you do, just, set it aside and move on to the next one. And what I love about working on three of them at once is, when I've got this color on my brush, I get to distribute it between the three of them right away. So another nice thing about that is that if you get a buyer who's interested in a set, then you'll have three pieces that work together, or they could be sold separately. And so when I do that, I don't make it so that it flows one into another. I mean, on occasion I might, but it's very rare. They work together, but they are not necessarily attached at the hip, so to speak. So they're not joined from one edge to the next piece. And that way they can be independent. Do you notice now how I'm making those, made those areas kind of blank with the lighter color? So I've taken care of the middle one, and the one on the right, the top area, is a lot lighter now so that their name can go in there. And here I'm doing it for the left one. And it's really hard for me to do this, to be honest with you, because you know me, I love my mark making, and now I have to obliterate pretty much all of it. I'll leave a little bit showing through here and there, but then I end up covering even more of it because I want to make sure that I'm meeting the obligations of the assignment. So it's challenging, but doable. Okay, let me share with you also, for folks who are still trying to figure out their art style. If you are not quite there yet, don't worry, you will get there. It took me many years to figure out my art style, and a lot of practice. So if you're feeling a bit stuck, let me help you out a little bit. And I've got a free guide that is all about finding your art style. And these are 3 tips that I want to provide to you that is going to help you look at what it is that you love, what speaks to your heart, and that is going to help you start paying more attention to maybe what it is that you can be creating on a consistent basis. So if you're interested in that, you can just leave the word guide below. So it's a guide to finding your art style, or you can just say, Betty, can you send me the guide for the art style? And I'll be happy to send that to you. And as always, I will include a link down below as well. So I'm going back and forth with my colors here, and I've got to blank out that middle one right there where I'm working because it's got too much stuff. Notice how I just now covered up more up there. And then I come in, try to make some marks. I'm thinking, oh, those are going to show too much. And their Oncology Nursing Forum logo or the name isn't going to show so much if I have anything up there. So blanking things out. Like I said, it's a challenge for me. I like flipping my brush over often and making marks into my wet paint, especially once I've got a few layers going on, because then we can see some of those previous layers showing through a little bit. So we got a little bit more to go here. Not too much more. I mean, we're kind of semi coming into the home stretch. See, I'm adding white there, but I'm not going to be able to leave that green showing. So that's going to end up getting covered up. See, to me, it just seems kind of funny seeing those plain areas. However, that's the assignment, so I signed up for it, so I got to do it. Let me know in the comments below if you're liking the movement that I am adding to my artwork. I'm trying to do this more often. I definitely did it for the pieces that I did in Croatia and super loving it. I'm going to include a few here on the screen for you so you can see what I'm really talking about as we work through these pieces. So combining, my love for flowers, my love for fields of flowers, my love for the sea, the water, and clouds. And I'm really enjoying figuring out how to, represent all of that in my artwork. I've talked before about, the more art you create, the more your art shifts and you make changes and you do something a little bit different. And for me, I've spent years creating in this style, but really if I look back, there are shifts. Shifts have definitely happened over the years. And it's bound to happen because it's really hard to just consistently always create in the exact same way, or I don't want to say style because this is still my style, but it's just applied a little bit differently than when I first started out. And all is good, and I like both. And actually, I've been looking at a lot of photos lately and looking at, how do I bring back some of the stuff that I did early on in my artwork. And some of those earlier pieces had more quiet areas, whereas lately I seem to be getting a lot more busy. My pieces have become a lot more busy, a lot of stuff going on. So I'm trying to figure out kind of a balance between, some quieter areas and some, wow, lots of stuff going on right here type of reaction. And always trying to remember, you've got to have the different elements in each piece. So you want to have the larger elements and smaller elements and, large pieces, large marks, smaller marks, middle-sized marks, lines, dots. All that variety adds a lot more interest to your piece. So speaking of which, I just released another guide, and I really haven't talked much about it at all. I think I've had it ready for a couple of weeks, but I'm just now starting to talk about it. And the guide is Enhancing Your Abstract Art, and it's 9 ways to infuse energy and interest into your artwork. So if you are feeling a bit stuck, and let me tell you, it happens to me pretty regularly where I am creating, and then I get stuck and I'm like, what's going on? I don't know. What do I need to do to fix this? What is not working here? And so this guide is what I turn to whenever I am feeling like I'm not sure where I need to go next. So if you would like this guide, leave the word energy. And that'll tell me that you want the guide that is 9 ways to infuse energy and interest into your artwork, especially if you are feeling stuck. And again, I will leave a link down below too. Okay, so moving along. Again, got to make sure that those areas are plain, and the one on the right is not plain enough. I want to keep some elements in there, but I know that I'm going to have to take some of that out. Otherwise, their index of what's inside the magazine, the publication is not going to be able to show very well. And I notice I keep tapping my fingers on my left hand, and that means I'm not sure where to go. I'm not sure what to do next. That's kind of my nervous tick, so to speak. We all have those, right? A little nervous tick. Sometimes we don't recognize it until you're videotaping constantly and then you realize, oh, I didn't know I did that. Here I'm using my rigger, which I'm not using it properly. And when I say properly, usually you want to make fine lines with it, but I like using the side of it to fill in a very sloppy way. It just adds a bit more interest. And there I did actually do lines with it. I love the rigger because it has very fine lines. All right, we are coming close to the end here. It's got a little bit more. As I mentioned, I worked on these, created these as soon as I got back from Croatia because my due date was within a week of me returning. So I had to get into the studio right away and work on these and create them. So that was the beginning of September 2023, as I mentioned. And then I didn't do anything for 2 months. So we're mid-November now. And I just got back to the studio last week and a half, something like that. That's mainly because in September, my daughter and I went on an RV trip for 12 days, which was fantastic. I've got the total RV bug and would love to be spending more time RVing around the US and Canada. We went from California, so we're in the San Francisco Bay Area. We went to the southern part of Montana. We didn't have enough time to go deep into Montana, but let me tell you, when they say that Montana is big sky country, it's just amazing. It truly is. When we crossed over the border from Idaho up into Montana, and we were like maybe an hour into Montana, it just all opens up and it's just absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And of course, we were there in September, which the weather was perfect. You know, there was a few days that it was kind of warm. We had the air conditioning running, but it wasn't too bad. In the evenings, by nighttime, it was fine and we could sleep with the windows open. But Montana, if you have not been, you got to go. And then Idaho is absolutely gorgeous as well. Really surprised me. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. But it is so beautiful and clean. Can I tell you how clean it is? I hate to say this, but man, California has become so dirty this past decade. It's just, we see trash on the freeways and roads and everywhere, and it's just depressing and disheartening. Unfortunately, we have a big issue with homelessness here as well. And it just contributes to the trash that is left on our roads. And so what I absolutely loved about Idaho was, and it was funny because we were getting on an on-ramp and I'm telling my daughter, quick, take a picture. And it was all green grass and spotless. I mean, there was no trash anywhere. It was absolutely beautiful. And I had to send it to my family, my sister, and say, okay, this is what a beautiful on-ramp looks like in Idaho. So Idaho, again, another gorgeous state, had no idea. So I'm looking forward to, I would like to see some more states. We went briefly through a little portion of Nevada. Really weren't planning to see much in Nevada. And on our way back through Idaho, and then we went through the, southeastern portion of Oregon. So we went through Bend, and that was all beautiful. We stopped at Crater Lake on our way down to California, and Crater Lake is amazing. If you get a chance, go to Crater Lake. Absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, made our way down through California and back home again. So lots of driving, way more than I wanted, but we saw a lot, and we absolutely loved our RV. It was a 24-foot RV. It had a bed over the cab and then a bed in the back. So we each had our own little space and just enjoyed it. It was perfect for the two of us. Of course, we had our own bathroom, shower, sink in the bathroom, all that, all the basic necessities. And then the kitchenette was perfect size, just a small kitchen. We cooked every single day. We only went out to eat once, and that was at the very beginning. That was our first night. And so it was perfect. We would just stock up on salads mainly and a protein to add to our salad. And that was pretty much, we love eating salad, so we did a lot of that. It was pretty easy. And then for breakfast, bacon, eggs. Yes, I went overboard on the bacon part, but it was really good. All right, let's get back to what I'm doing here. Coming in towards the end here, I'm going over some areas, adjusting some colors. I've definitely quieted down the areas that I needed to quiet down. For the most part, I think I come in and just quiet it just a little. There we go. Quiet it down just a little bit more, lighten it up a little bit more. It really goes against my grain to do this, so it was hard to make sure that it was plain. I think I cover up some more of that green there too, just to make sure, there we go, just to make sure that I am leaving that area blank. So to me, it looks weird because my art normally does not look like this. And the two that they didn't pick, what I'm going to be doing with those two is coming back in with some mark making over those very solid areas so that it feels more like, the way that I normally create. And I haven't done that yet. I need to do that. If I had done it, then I would have included it here, but it's on my list of things to do. Right now, I am working on some really, really large pieces for a customer that is a client that lives close to me. So I'm excited about doing that, and I will have a video of that. And you're going to be seeing me create on 6 feet by 6 feet canvases, 2 of them side by side. I'm excited about working on those and showing you how it comes together. Okay, hitting it here with my little handy dandy dryer. And I think I'm going to be getting ready to do some final mark making. And again, my final mark making is there we go. I'm going to be avoiding those areas that I have to keep blank, but we'll come in with marks in other areas. Here's my pencil. I normally start with a pencil, but for whatever reason, I grabbed I think it was a Neocolor crayon. Now, the great thing about using a pencil, Neocolor crayon, or Stabilo Woody, which I'm probably going to be using here at some point. I'm not sure what I've got in my hand there. I think it might be, yeah, it's a Woody. So what I love about all of these, because they're water soluble, is that if I don't like it, I can just use a regular eraser and erase it. So don't be afraid to make those final marks. Put some down. If you don't like it, erase it, or erase back some of it. Maybe you don't want to erase back all of it. And here I even smudge it so that it's kind of softened up a bit. So that's another thing you can do. Even with the Neocolor 2 crayons, you can smudge it a bit with your fingers to soften it out. And that's the great thing about these crayons. It's not just to make these hard lines, but you can make some soft lines with them too. Here I've got it looks like an Inktense pencil. And it might be one of the watercolor pencils that aren't quite as bright. I've got a variety in that basket on the side there. Doing some scribbles. Got to add some scribbles to my art. And that's a Neocolor too. And see, this is what I mean. I didn't really care for it, So I erased part of it, but not all of it. There's a little bit showing through. And on these, I don't sign them because they are going on a magazine cover. So I sign the ones that I end up finishing up, so the other two will be signed. Now, with this Oncology Nursing Forum project, I cannot sell the pieces that they used for their covers for an entire year. So once the entire year is up, then I will take all the pieces, so there's 6 of them, and I'll probably make those available. And I will end up signing those. So the first ones that I did, actually the first one would be available about now because it was actually it was January that I did the first one. So I'd have to wait till January to make it for sale. But I think I'll just wait until the November, 1 year from November. So next November, I'll be able to take all of them and sell them all. All right, a little bit more mark making here. And if you're interested in all the mark making tools that I like to use, I've got a link down below to my favorite art supplies, as I mentioned before when I was talking about some other things. It also includes not just, these types of things, the crayons and the pencils and such, but it also includes like even the lighting that I use when I'm recording, the video camera that I use, the 4 mil plastic that I mentioned earlier. So all of those things fall under my favorite art supplies. Okay, just a little bit more here. And then I'm going to show you some close-up pictures. All right, here we go. Now you get to really see the yummy details of it all. And that big cloud of nothing. All right, so there's the first one. Here's the next one. If you've been enjoying this, I would love if you can give me a thumbs up and then also subscribe. That really means a lot to me. The thumbs up helps me a lot because it lets YouTube know that you're interested in it, and then they'll serve it up to more people. So you're not just helping me, you're helping your fellow artists out there. Okay, so that's, I sent them all those. Now, let me show you what those look like. There's number 1. And you're going to guess which one they picked. Here's number 2. And here's number 3. Which one did they pick? They picked number 1. And you can see the colors are a little bit different based on the way that I send the file over to them. A huge thank you for all these folks who helped me in a monetary way. So they've added some thanks to me with dollars. And I so appreciate you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, you can subscribe here if you haven't done so already. Remember, give me a thumbs up. It means so much to me. Leave me a comment below. And also, you can check out some more videos here. I want to wish you a super fabulous and creative day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.